Have you ever stared at a blank ChatGPT screen, typed in what you thought was a perfectly good question, and gotten back something, well, completely useless? Yeah, if you have, you are definitely not alone. The secret to unlocking its real power isn't just about what it can do, it's about understanding what it can't do. So let's get into it.
So here's how we're going to break this down. First, I'm going to share a really quick story that totally changed how I think about AI. Then we'll dig into what this tool actually is, who it's really built for, and then the most important part, the 3 huge myths that are probably causing you the most frustration.
Okay, so picture this. It's a Tuesday night. I have this massive strategic presentation due first thing in the morning, and all I've got is a blank screen and that awful feeling of dread. You know the one. The deadline felt impossible, and I was just completely stuck.
My first instinct, was to just type in, "Write this presentation for me." But I knew that would just give me some generic, unusable garbage. So I took a step back and tried a totally different approach. I gave it the actual raw materials I was working with, the original client brief, and this really dense 50-page market report.
And this is where the magic happened. Just look at this prompt. It's not a question, right? It's a set of instructions. I gave it a role, act as a strategist. I gave it context, analyze these docs, and a crystal clear goal. I wasn't asking it what to think, I was telling it how to think. And that little shift, well, it's everything.
What came back wasn't a finished presentation, not even close. But what it gave me was a skeleton, a logical, structured outline that pulled all the key insights from the documents I'd given it. It didn't do my thinking for me. It just organized the chaos so that I could think. In about 90 seconds, I went from staring at that blank page to being the pilot of the project again.
And that story is the perfect lead-in to what we need to talk about next. Because to get results like that, you have to understand the tool you're actually using. And spoiler alert, it is so much more than just a simple chatbot. Yeah, forget the idea of a talking robot. It's much more like a Swiss Army knife. It's a multimodal assistant, which is really just a fancy way of saying it can handle all sorts of different information. Text, sure, but also images, data files, you name it. And it can do a whole range of tasks with them.
And here is the fundamental difference you have to get your head around. A search engine is like a librarian. It points you to things that already exist. ChatGPT is more like a workshop. It takes raw materials and your instructions and it builds something brand new.
Okay, so who is this powerful workshop actually for? Well, when you look at the research on who's using it most effectively, you see 3 really clear groups of people emerge.
For individuals, it's like having a personal tutor who can explain quantum physics or help you brainstorm ideas for your novel. For professionals, it's a co-pilot that can draft your emails, analyze sales data from a spreadsheet, or summarize a super long report. And for whole companies, it becomes this secure, internal space for building tools and collaboration, all while protecting their sensitive data. And that brings us to what is honestly the most critical part of this entire explainer. Understanding what it is and who it's for is great, but to really master it, you have to know when not to use it. And we can do that by just busting 3 very common and frankly dangerous myths.
Okay, myth number 1. This is the big one. This is the one that gets so many people into serious trouble. It's this assumption that because the AI sounds so confident and so sure of itself, it must be factually correct. That it's some kind of perfect encyclopedia.
But here's the reality, and you have to understand this. ChatGPT's main goal isn't to be truthful. Its goal is to be plausible. It's designed to just predict the next most likely word in a sentence. This can lead to something called hallucinations, where the AI will confidently invent facts or quotes or even entire legal cases that sound totally real but are completely fake. And this is not a theoretical problem. A lawyer in New York found this out the hard way. He used ChatGPT for his legal research and submitted a brief to a judge that cited a bunch of past cases. The only problem? The AI had invented every single one of them. That lawyer got slapped with a $5,000 fine and was publicly humiliated.
So the takeaway here is really simple. For anything high stakes, we're talking medical, financial, or legal decisions, you treat its output as a first draft, never as the final word. Use it for ideas, but always verify the critical facts yourself.
All right, on to myth number 2. This is the belief that you can just treat ChatGPT like a search engine. You just type in a few keywords and expect some brilliant, perfectly tailored answer to just pop out. That almost never works. Because here's the deal. The quality of the answer you get is a direct reflection of the quality of the question you ask. Just look at the difference here. A vague prompt, like "tell me about marketing," is going to get you a vague Wikipedia-level summary. But the specific prompt, it assigns a role, it gives a clear goal, a specific context, and suddenly the result is 1,000 times more valuable.
And that brings us to our final and maybe the most seductive myth of all, the idea that this is some magic button, that you can just hand off your work to the AI, sit back, and relax while it does everything for you.
The best way to think about this is the 10-80-10 rule. You, the human, you provide the first 10%. That's the strategy, the context, the great prompt, the raw materials. Then the AI does the middle 80%, all the heavy lifting, the drafting, the number crunching. But, and this part is absolutely non-negotiable, you have to do the final 10%. That's the verification, the refinement, adding your unique voice. Remember, you are always the pilot.
The key here is to treat it like a conversation. Don't just bark one command and expect perfection. You give it a task, you look at what it gives you back, and then you give it feedback to make it better. It's a dialogue. You work with it.
So after all that, if you only remember one thing, what's the golden rule? Well, it all boils down to this one simple idea.
That's it. It's brilliant, yes. It's incredibly fast and knows a ton, and it never gets tired. But just like a real-life intern, it needs crystal clear instructions. It sometimes makes things up with way too much confidence, and its work absolutely has to be supervised and double-checked by you before it goes anywhere.
And that's really the whole point, isn't it? When you shift your mindset from expecting a magic oracle to instead managing a brilliant intern, everything changes. It stops being this source of frustration, and it becomes this unbelievably powerful tool for amplifying your own intelligence.
So that's the framework that really works for me, but now I want to hear from you. What's the most creative or surprising or just genuinely useful thing you've ever managed to do with ChatGPT? Drop your story in the comments below. I read every single one.